Hey everyone, Isabel Fox here. And if you have been stressing out recently and neglecting the anxiety-inducing task of picking a cover story for yourself so that you can know what the hell to tell people when they ask you what you do, then have no fear, because today we're going to talk about 3 bulletproof cover stories to guard your identity. Plus, I'm going to explain the #1 reason most escorts get outed. The first thing I do when I begin working with somebody in the industry, in any facet of it, is I help them to perfect their cover story. By the end of this video, you'll have learned the top 3 job covers that you can begin using immediately to keep your identity a total secret. There are a number of golden rules that I have uncovered for creating a bulletproof story, so let's go through them now. #1 is pick one story for everyone. Yes, I mean everyone. With the exception of those who actually know that you are a worker. Consistency is key here. You will get confused with multiple stories and you will get caught out. In fact, this is actually the #1 reason that people get caught out, is that they aren't able to keep track of the different covers that they've told to different people, or something out of their control happens, like somebody speaks to somebody that they weren't expecting, and then it all unravels. An example here is that if you tell your mom you're a barista, also tell your dad, tell your boyfriend, tell people at the gym. Everyone should think that you're a barista. #2, keep it simple. Boring is great for us. We don't want to create interest or pique someone's curiosity. The more average, bland, and common your story is, the less interest it will attract. So another example is, I work in retail at Harvey Norman selling appliances. Now everyone knows what this job is, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel in the hope that because someone doesn't understand your job title, they won't cut you out. Your goal here is to have your job be so self-explanatory that nobody needs to ask any questions, and you can move smoothly to another topic of conversation. Generally, if you move smoothly to the topic of conversation being about the other person, they will be very happy to move past this. 3 is practice. You really need to practice your story. You need to get familiar with it, and it's very important to feel comfortable. Once you have a story you actually feel confident telling, your own doubt will disappear and you will instantly look, sound, and feel more believable. I know I've certainly experienced a period of time where I had a cover story that I just didn't have a lot of confidence in. And when people would ask me what I did for work, I would tell them while also going red, while also getting clammy hands, while stammering over my words. And really the problem was that I just hadn't practiced it enough and come up with enough answers to common questions so that I could easily move past this topic. So the first thing that I recommend that you do is that you practice this in front of a mirror. After writing your story down and writing down the most common work questions you get asked. Do it for a week or so that you can watch yourself and see how you look as you're saying it. And the more times you rehearse it, you'll just naturally start to sound and feel more comfortable. Secondly, you can have your fellow sex worker friends who you trust quiz you on your job, and you can ask them to give you feedback on how smooth and believable it sounded, and also how conversational it sounds. Lastly, I always recommend that people use encounters with strangers, like at the gym, at a cafe, or at a bar, to practice their story. So instead of avoiding the work topic next time you run into somebody random or you strike up conversation, actually instigate it by asking them what they do for work, and then you can counter with your newly rehearsed story. It's better that you do those first few times stumbling and stammering with someone who is really of very little consequence than it is that you practice for, or not practice, but do it for real the first times to, say, your parents. #4 is to overcome the myth that lying is bad. It isn't. If people could handle the truth, we would tell them, but they can't and they don't really want to know. Don't feel guilty. Every second girl or person that I worked with feels guilty for lying to the people in their lives, but they really shouldn't. This is actually a whole topic in itself that I won't go into here, but there is a huge power to be found in learning to program your own mind and the strength and confidence that will radiate from you once you do. And an easy example of this is we've all been in the situation where our friend comes to us and asks us if we think she's put on weight. Sometimes the answer is yes, but very rarely will we actually say that. Why? Because we know that it isn't the best way to handle the situation. And often that is the case for us too. The best thing for us is to tell somebody something else. If that isn't the case for you and you tell them the truth, that's totally fine too. But if you're in the position that the majority of us are in and you prefer not to be revealing what you do to the majority of people, then you need to overcome the thought that doing so is bad. So now that we've covered the 4 golden rules, let's get into our actual covers that you can begin using right away. The number 1 story that we have is mobile beauty therapist. For a lot of girls that work in this industry, I find that this works really well. Now, if you don't know exactly what that is, then here you go, a beauty therapist in any trade who performs her services from her own home and makes house calls to other people's homes. This could include spray tanning, waxing, eyelash and eyebrows, hairstyling, makeup styling, fashion, and nails. Now, this is really effective because it's so broad and it's easy to become qualified in. And being mobile means that there's no fake workplace, location, numbers, or websites that you have to manage. You don't even need professional qualifications to use this one. You can say you started spray tanning for a friend, then decided to make a business of it. You can say you had a passion for hair and makeup and started styling people for nights out and teaching people how to do their own makeup from home. This is also really good because you expect a beauty therapist to look done up most of the time. So if you're going out all the time to bookings or you look like you've got your hair and makeup done, it won't seem suspicious. Some quick tips. Make your industry friends an asset to you. If you want to create a social media page as an additive to your cover, then use your friends to help you make it look more believable with photos of you and them done up. You could take photos before a booking and post them crediting your own work. You can ask your friends to take photos of themselves, just any photo, and send it to post on your page as if you've done their makeup. This is a great one. I found that it works for the majority of the people in the industry with very minimal setup. 2 is social media consultant. So what is that? It is helping businesses or individuals create and or manage their social media presence, which these days includes Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and I'm sure there will be plenty of other ones that come and go too. This is a good one because it's broad and becoming more and more relevant to our technologically driven society. It's freelance style work, which is often something you can do from home. And this is especially good if you're a private escort and you don't work often and you spend a lot of time at home, at cafes, or seemingly doing nothing. If you've worked privately before, then you know what this is like when you have people asking you how you can go out for 4 coffees a day. Or maybe that's just me because I drink so much coffee. Quick tips. Do your research with this. Actually learn a few things about what you say you do so you have intelligent answers for anyone who asks. If you have any friends who run businesses or who have a social media presence, ask them if they'll vouch for you as consulting clients. Number 3 is nanny. What is it? Basically a glorified babysitter, usually caring for children from their home. You could broaden it to include housekeeping for the family as well. I have found this one to be particularly uninteresting to people and extremely self-explanatory. Maybe interesting to people who really love babies, but even then they're probably just going to ask you some basic questions about how cute the children are. You can easily say you care for just 1 to 3 different families' children. There's no need to create any social media as you obviously won't be posting pictures of other people's kids because that would be inappropriate. You can say you're at full capacity very easily and you can deflect the interest of possible new clients that you don't actually want. This could also be a job that happens at all hours and even as an overnight shift if parents are away. So if you have an overnight booking, this is a really easy one. It's also a job that requires a certain amount of discretion about who you work for. So it overcomes any of those invasive questions about specifics of your nannying clients. When you say that you're self-employed, and I have a lot of experience with this, sometimes people start to pry a lot into the sort of clientele that you have. You can rehearse this and come up with very confident answers, but if you're nannying, people aren't going to be asking for a huge amount of information because it's not appropriate for you to be revealing information about the children's families that you work for. Now, some quick tips to keep in mind for this one is a nanny does not look totally glammed up on her way to and from work. So don't leave your house for a booking dressed in heels and in a tight dress, claiming you're off to work. You'll probably have to get creative with a big bag, changing bathrooms in your car or at your working location. Most people that I work with prefer discretion when they're going to and from work anyway, but this is one that will require that especially. So your cover will require a little effort from you, but once you do a few setup tasks for whatever you decide to roll with, it becomes easier. Plus, any setup required for any of these 3 covers is extremely minimal. Remember guys, that these are proven strategies that have been used with countless guys and girls. And I actually have a whole list of other ones. So if any of these don't suit you and you're looking for other ideas, then feel free to contact me. Just make a choice, implement it, happy hooking, and remember to practice. If you want any further help, feel free to contact me on isabel@foxgirls.com.au, and remember that a link for the ebook to download is below.